For what?
Right? This is the definitive edition that just came out recently. Somebody went in and they made a mod that actually restores all of the butt shots. Some people don't realize this. There were a lot of butt shots in the original Mass Effect games. Like just angles of characters' asses, zoomed in sometimes and stuff. And they kind of removed all of them in this recent Legendary Edition. So someone's like, well, they still exist. Camera angles are what changed. Let me go in and fix that.
Yeah, sorry. I was distracted for a second there.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, the same modder who did it removed them in the original version of the game. As an option, just people who didn't want to deal with him. He made the mod. So this time he went back and did the opposite, where it's like, well, you know, people should have the option whether they want to see these butt shots or not. So let me go and restore them.
Yeah, definitely. Always want to give people options.
Yeah. Well, this is what I don't get, right? And, well, I get it, because the only reason they do this stuff is to cater to a very specific crowd and to try to get their approval, even though they don't buy video games anyway. But I don't get why more games don't just make versions, like, or options that are like that. Like, you know what was a fun game that I thought was actually even funnier with the censorship? Was it Brutal Legend, I believe was the name of it. Where Jack Black was the voice of the main character and he goes down to hell. And there was an option in it where it would remove like the blood if you picked it, but the main censorship is there would actually be like bleeps over the curse words in the game and stuff like that. And but because it was bleeped out and it was so ridiculous, the game was actually funnier with it censored than if you didn't. So most people pick the censorship option.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the like those unnecessary censorship videos?
Yeah. Where like they're not actually censoring anything, but it makes it funny because you implant some word in there.
Yeah, they'll do like a clip from Sesame Street or something where they'll bleep out
singing "I like to count," but it's now "I like to fuck" because he's bleeping out the word "count" every single time.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's my personal favorite one.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's
it's funnier because it's leaving more to the imagination, and you can imagine whatever you want.
it's artistic, you know.
That's right.
But personally, I just want all the butt shots.
Yeah, definitely.
I need those cheeks in my life.
I'm more of a boob man, but okay.
I am too, but listen, just because I'm more of one doesn't mean I still don't want the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially, what's her name? Miranda or whatever? The one of the main characters in the second one. She was like genetically designed in her figure. So she has a genetically perfect ass. Why are you taking that away from us? Like, this is the point of the character.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
You need that in the game. It's a nice hat, by the way.
I've had it for a while.
Yeah. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Yes, the sun is very dangerous, and it keeps it off the top of my head.
But apparently we're live, or so I've been told.
We are live. And welcome to the Vomitorium. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm actually doing a little bit better, as you could probably see in the very edge of my frame here. There's a fan that apparently had been here this whole time, and nobody ever told me because it gets like really hot in this room. There's one air vent up in the corner there, and it's really tiny in the worst position. So it gets hot in here, like hotter than the rest of the house. And I was talking about it. It's like, well, you know, I got a fan you can use. It's like, dude, we're already like halfway through the summer. Why didn't you bring this up before? And it's good. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Actually, let me try it real quick. Because I have a noise gate on, so you might be able to hear a little bit while I'm talking. But when I'm not,
I don't notice
just go away. Yeah.
I don't notice it even when you are talking, so unless anybody complains, you can keep it on.
Oh, I don't need it at the moment.
It's up to you.
But because it's actually fairly cool at the moment. But it's been getting pretty hot, and my computer has been overheating at times too. Because not because my computer can't handle it, but it's a laptop, and it's been getting really hot in here. So having like an extra form of cooling the area would be helpful. Like when we're streaming, especially on the RPG. It's not really too intensive what we're doing right here. I've got like the music up, the OBS and a browser and Discord. But like when we're doing the RPG, I've got like 100 tabs or windows or combination of them up, because the new browsers, they treat every tab like it's its own window. It takes up more and more processing, and like my computer starts to cook in this summer heat when we're doing that game, especially for how long we do it.
Yeah. If I occasionally listen, it's just to make sure nobody's like knocking on my door, because my sister and her kids are here, so.
Come and knock on my door.
I occasionally knock if they want to play on the Switch or something. But yeah, I've been lucky to have fairly good air conditioning in here. For a while, actually, I guess in the spring, it was like super cold in here, and I had to close the vent for a while. But now it's good. I've only got one vent in here too, but it seems to work okay.
Yeah. I don't know, it gets really hot, especially at night. It gets really hot. And that's why I'm feeling better too, because I just flipped that thing the other way, and I actually had a fan on me, or at night, morning. That's usually when I sleep. I had a fan on me all morning while I was sleeping.
Yeah. That sounds good. Timothy and Joshua, hello. Welcome to the chat. Timothy says you should go for 200 windows at a time.
I'd rather not. Not on a laptop. Like, again, this thing is powerful, but
all I have to do is open Discord and my computer goes nuts.
If I had a desktop with like a proper cooling system or whatever, yeah, sure. But laptops aren't exactly known for staying cool.
So I do have a follow-up to a story from yesterday.
Yes, I wanted us to talk about that first before we went into anything else.
An unfortunate follow-up. Actually, that's what I was getting distracted by, because I was fiddling around on Twitter. So we talked yesterday about Double Fine adding a games journalist mode to Psychonauts 2, where you're invincible and you can just basically watch the game happen. I assume.
What's the point of even playing a game?
I don't know. So actually, this is a tweet that went up on July 9th. So this was actually before we talked about it. But I only just noticed it. So Double Fine decided to double down on that by insulting gamers. And it just made me think, like, people, the argument is always like, what's the big deal? You shouldn't care. You don't have to turn on easy mode or whatever. It's just about accessibility. Well, it kind of puts the lie to that when clearly the people who are doing it actually hate gamers.
Yeah.
Hate gaming. So it's
they just want to make a movie. And if that's what you wanted to do, I actually would have been fine if you just said, hey, we're never going around to making Psychonauts 2. Our follow-up or sequel will be like an animated series. I'd be like, okay, I can live with that. It's been over a decade anyway. But, like, to go out and make a game, but then make it basically an animated series and then start, like, just cursing out your fans? Like, honestly, I'm not paying for this game now. Sorry. Yeah. If I do get it, you're going to understand how I do, but I'm probably not even going to play the game.
The argument that it's just about accessibility, it's just about, it just falls flat when every single time, guaranteed, the people who are either pushing it or doing it hate gamers, absolutely despise. And if it's a game company, they despise their own customers.
Yeah.
And this company is clearly... Now, one thing I found out since I've discovered this tweet was that their social media manager used to work for Kotaku.
Yeah.
Was just a games journalist for Kotaku. Probably, I don't even know who it is, but they probably wrote plenty of articles on how there should be easy modes. And they've even pre-blocked wrong thinkers like Sophia Narwitz found out, oh, I'm blocked by this company. I've never tweeted about them or to them or about this issue or anything. I'm just already blocked. So it's like, okay, you're just going to block other games journalists as well as gamers?
Yeah.
Like everyone who's responded even like pretty innocuous responses are getting blocked by Double Fine. And it's like, you're blocking customers? Okay.
I wonder if they're actually looking up complaints about him too. Like, they may not have our individual stuff, but I should check to see if the Vomitorium's already been blocked by them. Just because I did put the whole Psychonauts 2 in the tags for the episode yesterday.
Yeah. That's a good question. I'm not, even though I did respond to them. But, you know, people like Purity Sin, I think, is blocked. Leaky Mind. It's, you know, some people who comment a lot on games and things like that, and comics.
Yeah.
People that I follow.
Too. Like, I always call bullshit on accessibility for stuff like this, even before they do that, because I know companies that find creative ways to make games more accessible to people. Look at Nintendo, right? Mario, never been a hard series. But there, you know, some people may not finish the game if they run out of lives, and that might throw them off. You know what they did in Odyssey? They didn't make anything easier, even though it's not a hard game. They just took lives away. They still punished you for dying. You lost money, and some of the most valuable things in the game cost a lot of money. But you could still die endlessly, and that's fine, and eventually get good enough to beat whatever you're doing. Like, there's ways of doing this that doesn't just turn a video game into a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, there are very creative ways. I mean, and it's infantilizing. We've talked about that with, you know, infantilizing of women and stuff like that. But infantilizing, you know, I'm sure people like, you know, what's his name, Ricky Berwick would disagree that you have to basically put it on easy mode in order to be accessible.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he plays video games.
Oh yeah, he does. I forgot what game it was or whatever. There is like a there's a speedrunner or whatever who has like limited digits and only can play with like a combination of 5 fingers or something like that. And they speedrun. It's just fine.
Yeah. They figure it out, and there are lots of games that find creative ways. I mean, you know, just disabling the or having the option to disable motion control a lot of the times is all you really need to do in some of these games. If it's, you know, if it's a Switch game.
We are not currently blocked by Double Fine. So they're not that egotistical that they're just using bots to search for negative criticism. They're mostly just blocking people that come to them or actually known entities.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Sophia said, she was like, I've never tweeted at them ever.
We're not known, so the only reason they would do it is if they were actually using like a bot to actually search for stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, it's possible they use like a one-time bot. Like I said, this one tweet that's definitely invited a lot of commentary was from 3 days or 4 days ago. Possible they ran about a bot at some point. Who knows? Although, how did you even know how that works? Like, are they going to just like block everybody who quote tweets them, or I don't know. It's probably, like I said, it's the person running it is some games journalist from Kotaku, so they're probably on Twitter 24/7. You know, just block manually. Who knows?
Fucking Kotaku.
Related to that, you know, TSR Games, their Twitter account is still down.
Oh, are they?
And yeah, did you know they were down?
No, I didn't. I wasn't even aware. What happened? Do you know? Or
I don't. Nobody knows. I guess people are speculating. I'm speculating that they just didn't like the shitstorm that came at them, and they thought, let's just shut everything down for a while. Let's just, you know, let the storm pass and come back later. But like, people were confused because there's a company called Wonderfilled, I think.
Wonderfilled. That sounds
is now
very dirty.
Yeah. Well, they're now the publisher of Giant Lands. And so people were thinking, wait, did TSR Games change their name to Wonderfilled? But no, apparently it's a different company. Giant Lands decided to go with them for the publisher instead of TSR Games because they're a bunch of pussy
If you
cocks.
were to slam those words together, it sounds even dirtier. Wonder-filled giant lands.
Yeah. So Wonderfilled is still there. They're out there still saying, we're not working with TSR. Oh, we're so scared. Giant Lands is, by the way, Giant Lands blocked me.
Oh, wow.
Basically,
What'd you say?
For saying, they said something like, we're not being published by TSR anymore. And I said, oh, that's a shame. I guess I won't be buying your product anymore. Which I probably would have if they were published under TSR Games. And they responded, I don't even care. They replied to me, but I can't see it because they replied to me and then blocked. So I have no idea what they said. Probably something snarky. And I'm like, people are so stupid. Why do you hate gamers? Or why are you in this industry if you hate gamers?
I don't know.
Timothy says, could be a wonder-filled taco. Yeah, I suppose.
I was just confused when you said TSR Games because, do they have any relationship to the original TSR Inc.?
Well, it's a new company, but they're co-founded by Ernie Gygax.
Okay, so it is like a successor. That was so confusing. Like,
Yeah.
you mean the people that used to make D&D, right?
Yeah,
Been
that's what I'm talking
defunct
about.
since '97.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. You don't know about this whole story? Didn't we talk about this?
No,
Or
we
did
didn't
not?
cover this on the show. I'm like,
Oh,
we didn't know.
I thought we
was
talked
like,
about
I didn't
this.
even know that TSR was back. I'm like so out of the loop with this.
oh man, you are out of the loop.
Ew.
Surely we talked about this.
No, we did not. We
This
did
was
not
a
cover this on the.
huge. Oh my gosh. Okay, well let's
I'm
start
usually
over.
the one
Let's
who
start
remembers when we talk about something on the Vomitorium. It's usually
Yeah,
you who forgets
yeah.
it. We have not discussed this.
Okay, let's start over with the
Yeah.
story. I
I'm
assumed that we talked about it
completely
because
out of the loop on what's going on here.
yeah, it's because it was such a huge story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was some other company calling themselves TSR Games that was just completely unrelated,
Okay.
but they let their copyright or whatever or trademark lapse. So Ernie Gygax jumps in, grabs the trademark, and says, "We're starting back up TSR Games, the original from the 70s and 80s and I guess 90s."
Yeah, well, it went
The
all
one
the way
that
to
invented-
97, and that's when it cut. Yeah.
Yeah, the original that invented D&D, basically.
They took chainmail.
So
They took the idea, here's D&D becomes a D&D before Games Workshop or Wizards starts dealing with it, before Games tosses out, like, we'll do our own thing, and Wizards just takes it permanently. These are the people who are running the show.
yeah. So Ernie Gygax, I guess, is Gary's son. Is that right?
I don't know their relation. I could check real quick.
So anyway, he decides, okay, I'm going to start up TSR Games again. And they already, and this, I guess they grabbed it and started this new company last year at some point.
Yes,
maybe 2 years
he's,
ago.
Gary and Mary's son.
Yeah. And they already had a game coming out called Giant Lands, or, by another company, but they were going to publish it. They have a tabletop RPG museum, like online site. And Ernie did an interview, and I don't recall the exact quote, but he basically said, look, we want to be a haven for artists who do not want to, this is not his exact words, but essentially bow to the woke agenda, and who do not want to be censored, because WotC's always, been censoring all their crap, their good art for like Magic the Gathering and AD&D, and all coming out with all these new cards that are awful.
Yeah.
They're absolutely, because we can't have the male gaze, we can't have good art. So he's like, we want to be a haven for artists that don't want to be censored, essentially. So people took that to be somehow anti-trans, somehow, or he said something about people who don't want to be worried about new ideas about gender or something like that.
And today I learned that his dad's name was Ernie too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Gary's their name. He's Ernest Gary Gygax Jr.
Yeah. So he goes by Ernie, but his dad went by Gary.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess because he said something about artists who don't want to be worried about modern ideas about gender or whatever. So, of course, that means he's anti-trans. So somebody named Meg on Twitter asked,
Meg.
Are you... Yeah, Meg. I know. God, it's only 3 letters. It's not very impressive. Asked about, are you going to clarify his anti-trans statements? And frankly, the account that responded that really caused the firestorm was the Giant Lands account.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was managed by the same person, apparently, as the TSR Games account. But it was the Giant Lands account that responded. And, well, at first they said, he said no such thing. And then they responded something, something anti-trans. And the Giant Lands account said, you're disgusting. That was it. And so now it's like, oh my God, we got to cancel them. They're horrible. They're anti-trans. Because they dared to call a trans SJW disgusting. So, God, I can't believe we didn't talk about this. Gen Con banned TSR Games and said they will not be welcome at our convention. Some other convention, like a week later, banned them. I don't even remember who it was. And then, Giant Lands said we're no longer working with them, and it was just like it's this whole big thing. And then I guess TSR made some clarification, or Ernie Gygax said everybody's welcome, blah blah blah, and then they deleted their account.
Because what I'm reading right now, I looked up some of this stuff, going to some of like the RPG news sites and stuff that focus specifically on this. Apparently, the entity that is TSR Games has cut ties with Ernest Gygax and a second RPG company also calling itself TSR. So apparently there's still some dispute over the ownership of the name of this company.
I guess. Yeah.
But they also fired their Twitter manager and hired a new PR officer.
Yeah. Who promptly shut down their Twitter account. So, I don't know. It's a lot of it's kind of a mystery because they're just.
Yeah.
I think it was mismanaged. I mean, frankly, if I had been them, I would have just not responded. They were talking about games. Someone asked a stupid question, a stupid misleading question, and I wouldn't have responded. I would have just been like, so let's talk about our games some more. Because, you look at the Nintendo of America account, right? It gets shit all the time about all kinds of stuff. Oh, why didn't you come out with a new Switch? Switch Pro, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Because they get responded to 1,000 times a day, 10,000 times a day.
Yeah.
They don't respond to any of that shit. They talk about their games, because they're professionals. Way Forward is the same thing. I'm sure people complain. They've got boobs in their game, They've got scantily clad women in their games. Oh my God.
The thing with Nintendo is they've had a couple people that have lined up with the modern journalists in the past in the treehouse. And as soon as they actually stepped over the line and said something they weren't supposed to, they canned them immediately because Nintendo doesn't play that game. It's like, we are strictly about promoting our product. That is all we do.
Yep. And you watch I've watched their treehouse videos. It's all about the games.
Yeah.
And they're fun. And they make me want to play their games.
Maybe it might have been 2016. It wasn't that long ago, maybe 2017, where there was a story about them actually having to fire some people from the treehouse over this exact type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Every company needs to do that.
Yeah.
You talk about this bullshit and don't talk about our games, you're out.
Hit the showers.
That's right. There's nothing more to say about it.
Yeah. Well, I've always liked his old man, so by default, especially with the attitude he seems to share, I'm immediately and impulsively going to take Ernie's side on this stuff, so.
Yeah. Foot says, was that the infamous Bex incident? I guess with Nintendo Treehouse?
It might have been. It was a while back. I'd have to look back into it. This is like 5 years ago now.
I don't know. I can't find it offhand. But anyway.
Yeah. I've always liked Gary's attitude, his old man, because he's always been the customer is probably wrong mentality, but in a way, like, you still have to market to them, right? Because he's like, you guys don't know what you want. You want to have a fun time. I want to give you a fun time. I will listen and I will take your criticisms, but I'm not going to give you what you want. I'm going to give you what I think you actually want because I'm the one who's actually making the game. And
yeah.
Honestly, people used to piss him off too. That's why he made the Tomb of Horrors, because people were starting to already move towards the whole meta gaming side of things even way back then. And he's like, no, you want a role-playing experience. You want story. This is what you actually want. Stop telling me you want a metagame. So he specifically made a very narratively driven where, like, all the answers were clues and riddles inside the place. Like, Tomb of Horrors is one of the hardest known dungeons in the original, like, AD&D. And it was to kill people who had powerful characters. Like, if you were an endgame, like, min-maxed, meted out character, it would kill you because you're just relying on your stats and you're not actually good at playing the game or acting out a character. And that was always like, yeah, he cared so much about the games that he was playing that he wanted people to have a good experience, and he didn't care what you thought you wanted from your experience. And I'm hoping Ernie kind of sees things in the same way. And that's the type of people that we actually need in any industries, like people who know what's going on. They take lead. They still listen to the customer, but they don't let the customer push them around. And they just develop a good relationship with them. Because that's more important than just letting the customer always have their way. It's just developing a healthy relationship where you don't call them bad names. Unless it's in good fun and they like it too.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, Nintendo is kind of like that too. They're, people complain about the gimmicky stuff. They kind of keep giving you the gimmicky stuff because eventually, occasionally, they hit on something, like the Switch.
But they try to keep a good relationship. They don't call you names for not liking it or anything, and they don't say you're wrong for not liking it because you like what you like. But we're trying to give you a good experience, and maybe the thing you like isn't necessarily a good experience, and that's on you. You don't have to buy the game. Yeah.
But at least they listened when it came to Metroid. Hopefully.
I think that's the relationship people need to have, though, because if you just listen to everybody and start giving what they want, you're going to start listening to people who actually aren't interested in the thing you were trying to make. Which I think that's actually the problem with the gaming industry in general. They keep trying to widen the net, and whatever made your thing special and attracted your niche audience disappears.
Well, I wonder if TSR... the problem is I don't know what the status is now of TSR game. Because frankly, I would love to send them a pitch and be like, hey, here's a game I've been thinking about. Frankly, I've got a game that's been rattling around in my head for over a decade, maybe 2 decades. Would you be willing to publish this, help back it, or whatever? I don't know if they invest in development companies at all, but if they're cutting ties with Ernie Gygax, then what are they anymore?
Yeah.
Who's running it? I have no idea. So I'm not going to send you a pitch until I understand what's happening. So, But a lot of people don't understand, like, they don't understand how these relationships form between a publisher and a developer.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't understand this until I started to get into it and actually ended up, getting a contract with WotC, is that you have to know how to put together a game pitch. And sometimes
it's
that
like any
can
entertainment
include
business. And
yeah.
if you're not from the entertainment business, like say you get your degree in coding and stuff, which you're moving into entertainment, but that's not what your background is. It's a completely foreign field, but it works like this in movies and TV and everything too. You have to put together a pitch of what you're doing, and it's very complicated. It's not an easy thing to do.
Right, exactly. And believe me, looking for VC is even worse. It's even more complicated. In fact, in my company a while back was looking for venture capital, and we ended up, we ended up not getting it because basically what we should have done was hire a consultant essentially who has connections and can help you put together your pitch and all that stuff. I kind of did it all on my own.
It's like hiring an agent.
Ended up just being, yeah. Basically, if you want VC, I would definitely recommend hiring an agent to do it. Do most of the work for you, most of the legwork
too, right? Like, I think this is the weakness of the comic book industry when it comes to indies that are trying to get into some of these other publishing houses and stuff like that, is there's no infrastructure of agency for comic creators, right? You can get like an art agent, you can get a writing agent. These things exist. They can kind of help you to a degree, but they don't have the connections. They don't have the experience. They're like, I can help you pitch in this direction, but I'm not a comic agent. It's like, yeah, because they don't exist. We would have to actually create the infrastructure to make comic agents, which I think is like, EVS would be perfect for that, because that's what his publishing company basically is right now, is just an agency. But yeah,
and I mean, you have to, at the moment, you just have to do it yourself. Like if you're going to pitch to Alterna Comics, that they have a method for you to do that, to send them your stuff. But with a game, you don't necessarily have to have like a full-blown demo of it already built or anything like that. But you got to have an impressive pitch, and you need to know all the things that you need to have
proof of concept of some sort, though, in your pitch.
And you even have to include like details on your team, who's going to be doing what and what their expertise and what their experience is and all that.
They need to know where the money's going. That's the most important part. Yeah.
Right, and you got to list out what your budget is and all that kind of stuff, and
Well, that's why it's closer to relating it to a movie, because you do have to give those same details when you're pitching a movie. You may not need to know the cast yet when you're getting the capital, but you do kind of need to know who's involved in actual production, who's directing the movie, how's it going to be edited, what's your general time frame for making this movie stuff. I think there's a bigger crossover in how you have to make a pitch in games and movies than there are in almost any other field.
Yeah, and a game doesn't have to be multi-million-dollar, but typically you do have to be realistic about it. And when you put together a pitch, it's probably if it's going to be a decent game, you're going to be six-figure.
Talking about pitches,
probably going to be.
Most people that get venture capital for games these days are making apps that are very low investment, but possibly high reward if it gets grabbed on.
Yeah, you could do that. But yeah, so I've been thinking about putting together. In fact, I may already have it partially written or written, but needs to be updated. A pitch to send to TSR Games. But the problem is, I don't even know what IP they own other than the name TSR Games. So I'm like, obviously it can't be a Dungeons and Dragons game, but it could be something similar, just under a different name.
What if they still have the license to chainmail? Because D&D became its own thing. It evolved out of chainmail, but it's not the same trademark or copyright. What if they still have that?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Don't know. Is that that's basically the precursor to D&D?
Yeah. Which you could make anything out of that. Oh, or it could be public domain by now, because I don't know if it was never held in anybody's individual hands, and a company that had it got defunct at some point, it could have just slipped right into the public domain. Like anybody could probably do something with chainmail.
Yeah. I mean, like Pathfinder, you could take basically current D&D rules, just call it a different thing.
Yeah.
And just,
D20 system. It's
make your own
the same stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, basically, if I wanted to do, for instance, off the top of my head, basically a remake of the original Gold Box games, like Pool of Radiance and
Yeah.
Curse of the Azure Bonds and all that stuff. Just maybe with current D&D rules, you just call it something slightly different and use the same rules and send them a pitch. So I was thinking I might put some time into that, but I got to figure out what the hell's going on with TSR games because I don't understand.
I was doing a little work
I
on
don't
my
understand.
tabletop game last night. I
Mm-hmm.
hashed out like 10 pages.
Cool.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Very nice. So there's other stuff going
There
on.
is. Something that I am stupidly excited about, and probably doesn't interest you at all, but I already brought it up, is this Nickelodeon platform fighter. It's basically like a Nickelodeon Smash Brothers. It's ridiculous, and I love it. It actually doesn't look bad either, visually. I can't speak much of the mechanics yet, because they showed very little of it. But, like, the graphics look good for a platform fighter. It looks better than the PlayStation Battles Royale game. And it's called Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. And so far, there are 14 confirmed characters that you can play in this Smash Brothers-like platform fighter. Like, you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Michelangelo, and Leonardo are playable. Nigel Thornberry from the Wild Thornberries. Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy. SpongeBob, Sandy, and Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants. Oblina from Aw Real Monsters. Lucy Loud and Lincoln Loud from The Loud House. So that's a newer show. Helga from Hey Arnold. Reptar from The Rugrats. Zim from Invader Zim. And Danny Phantom from the show of the same name.
Yeah, I see an article that says, well, the online should be better than Smash Bros.
Probably, because Smash Online is absolute ass.
Yeah. Like, you're probably right. Especially if it's a Western developed game, because oddly enough, Western developers have figured out netcode.
Well, it's because they don't figure out netcode. They don't try to reinvent the wheel. Everybody just buys rollback. That's all you do. I mean, it's basically free at this point. But everybody just uses rollback netcode. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time.
Exactly. So yeah, that's true. Now, is it gonna be? I'm watching the video. Oh, do you want me to put the video up?
Yeah, you can.
I know. My question is going to be: is it going to be similar in that it's basically knock your opponent off?
I'm assuming
the platform.
Can we get an F in the chat for Audacity? Oh yeah, with that new trash terms of service and update and everything that they did. Yeah. Just don't update it. Just leave Audacity where it is. Use an older version.
Audacity.
Yeah, the audio editing program. Yeah, like I can't really tell because they're not showing like HUD or overlay or anything, but it's a platform fighter, and most of them it's knock your opponent off the stage.
Yeah. Are there other games like that?
Oh, there's plenty. One of the most popular ones that isn't Smash Brothers is Rivals of Aether, which is made by a team that made... Which one was it? Super Smash Flash, I believe, was the one that they made. No, they made Super Smash Land, which was made to be like a Game Boy version, and Vaporeon was a playable character. It was a Flash game, though. And then they went and they made their own with like all unique IPs version, Rival Aether, and that one works almost exactly like Smash Brothers. But there's been a lot. There's like, yeah, it does look like this is a very launch-heavy game. There have been the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which was not about launching your opponent off the stage. It was about comboing people until you built up your meter, and then you actually had to use one of your super moves to kill somebody, like an execute. That was such a weird mechanic that a lot of people just weren't into it, and I can fully understand why. I really wasn't that into it.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers kind of made a working formula, so you want to stick to it. Yeah, I even just saw a death from being knocked into the blast zone. This looks like it's going to work almost exactly like Smash Brothers.
It looks exactly like it.
Yeah.
Just with different characters.
Yeah, because you could play as Reptar and Powdered Toast Man. Like, who wouldn't want to main them?
Yeah. Well, I'd want to be Danny Phantom. So wait. Let me pause for a second. Oh,
he's probably a top tier, too. You would just go straight for the top tier.
Yeah, it is coming out for Switch, PS4 and 5, Xbox, everything.
Yep. I just don't see PC, but if there's a demand, they will probably put it there.
Yeah. But
I mean,
interestingly,
it'll
it's
probably
not
be on PC regardless, but if you see Xbox, that's Windows Store. It's not showing Steam or anything like that.
Yeah. So not being developed by Nintendo.
Yeah. No.
It's interesting. You'd think they'd go to Nintendo and be like, can you develop this for us? But
I don't know. Maybe. But it looks fun. Platform fighters are really fun games. And I saw a lot of people complain, it's like, oh, but platform fighters like this, they usually have items. What if you can't turn them off? One, who the heck would make a game like this and not let you turn items off after just how many years a game like Smash Brothers has been around and the demand for that? But two, there were many scenes in that trailer where I didn't see any items on the field whatsoever. Could have been a dead time when they didn't spawn, maybe, but I think that might even be the standard of play.
Flit agrees with you, though.
Yeah.
Why would you not main Powdered Toast Man?
It's fucking Powdered Toast
Clearly.
Man.
That's right.
I'd be upset if, like, you know how in Smash Brothers, Peach has the Peach Bomber where she does, like, this hip thrust at you? Like, I'd be upset if that wasn't, like, his main move where he flies butt first into you with a bomber.
Yeah. That would be cool.
That'd be great. Flying
Says
charge attack.
Featuring 20 levels based on Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah, these are only the confirmed characters. They're by release or through DLC, there could be way more later on. It's not like Nickelodeon doesn't have a lot of properties they can draw from. I'm waiting to play a Snap from Chalk Zone.
I don't know if I know what my favorite Nickelodeon characters would be.
You're waiting for them to drop Rocco in there so you can play as a Wallaby.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Definitely. Rocco or I like Fairly Odd Parents. Can you play as Timmy?
You could stream it on your channel, and Marsupial Gamer could actually be playing as a Wallaby.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Flit says flying butt pliers for the win.
Oddly enough, and this was one of the complaints, there's no confirm of a Fairly Odd Parent character in there.
Yeah,
even though it's like one of the most popular shows to ever be on Nickelodeon. It's been running, since 2001, I believe? If it didn't already end a couple years ago, because it like turned 18 and they cut it. This would have been its like 20th anniversary this year.
Yeah. Who knows? Like you said, I'm sure that's not an all-inclusive list.
Yeah, because it came out the same week that Invader Zim did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was either like 2001 or 2002. We're getting really close on its 20th.
Yeah. And obviously they're going to add the other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They have to.
Yeah, you would think.
Right, because I definitely want to play as Donatello. Yeah. No, that interests me. I mean, I'm not really into Smash, but a new game, maybe I'd try it. I don't
know. I'm probably I'm talking about like Powdered Toast Man. He's great and everything. If Gur becomes a playable character, I'm probably just gonna play as Gur all the time.
Gur,
especially because Gur is the robot that dresses up like a dog from Invader Zim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because he would be a trickster character, right? He'd be the one with like all of like the really weird hitboxes and setups and stuff. He'd probably launch like tuna out of his feet at somebody or something like that. This is all kind of shoot like launch a sandwich out of his head and hit somebody with
Yeah.
it. I would main the shit out of Gur if he was a playable character. What is Gur?
Flitz says, I hate you so much right now, Marsupial.
I actually have a shirt around here. Maybe it's an arm's reach that has Gur on it. Let's see.
I have never seen Invader Zim. In fact, I don't think I'd even heard of it until Metal mentioned it to me.
Yeah, I actually do. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Travis's family went on a road trip, and then when they came back, he saw this, and he had to get it for me.
I like this.
Yeah.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I've seen that character.
Yeah, that's Gur. He's actually a robot, but he's usually walking around in this like dog suit so they can blend in. I believe at the moment he is drinking a large classic poop, which is poop cola.
Flitz says he had Invader Zim boxers with Gur riding a pig.
Oh, dude, the pig. That was in like every episode, even if it's just in the background. What's weird about poop cola is the cola's not made of sawdust, but the poop candy bar, which is supposed to taste like poop cola, is made 100% out of sawdust, so I can only assume that poop cola tastes like sawdust.
Okay.
Yeah, like, it's just my algebraic substitution reasoning here.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, maybe they'll add Gur.
One of the best cartoons.
Apparently.
Yeah. So at least there's one game where what's his name? Richard Horvitz, he's the voice of Zim, is going to be in that I actually want to play now because Psychonauts 2 has made me completely uninterested, and Richard Horvitz also plays the main character in Psychonauts.
Well, good. Glad you can get your Richard Horvitz.
He's a good actor. He's like, a lot of people are kind of meh on the show, but he's probably the main draw for why people watch the online cartoon Hell of a Boss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Which character does he play in that?
I think his name is Moxie. He's the little scared guy that's not much of a scrapper. He uses guns and stuff like that. He's one of the two that's in the couple relationship at the team.
Richard Horvitz?
Yeah.
Not the finance professor at Baruch College? I'll put voice actor. There he is. So does he play?
He plays Zim.
Does he play Invader Zim? Okay.
Yeah, he plays Zim himself. It's actually like the voice that he's known for doing is Zim, and he kind of does that same voice in everything. Like when he voices Moxie, he's doing the exact same voice that he does for Zim. He was also, I believe, Dag in Angry Beavers, which I would love to see them show up in this battle Smash game as well. But he's been all over the place. Like,
wait a minute, he was in Mulan?
He's in everything.
Who did he play in Mulan? Wait. There's got to be more here. That's weird. It shows him.
He's probably he was Chief Food.
Horvitz with a V.
Right. Oh, so James Hong was Shifu. Where's Richard?
He played a random Chinese soldier.
Yeah, he's just like a background character. A lot of times people end up. Yeah, he was also Billy and Mandy. A lot of times people just end up voicing like additional voices and background characters.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Horvitz.
When you're a voice actor, you get paid per like hour of recording session, which could end up being like 50 lines or whatever, or 150 lines. And you have to make money, even if you're like a known entity. So you're just like there in the studio. It's like, hey, you got additional voices I can do? I'll take my hour of pay.
So would you recommend to anyone to watch Invader Zim Enter the Florpus?
Oh, dude, I loved Enter the Florpus. Now, so here's the thing about that movie. I watched it when it was 2018, or it was like a couple of years ago or so when it came out, right? I watched it the day it came out, like the moment it came out. I threw everything else aside. Invader Zim actually does have a chronological storyline that's very hard to track. It doesn't seem like there's a chronological storyline, so you can watch it without paying attention. You could just watch any random part of it, and it all just seems the same to you, right? Enter the Florpus is basically its comeback thing. It treats the comics as if the comics happened. So, like, Invader Zim stopped. Vasquez, who's the showrunner, went and he made a comic line with Oni Press to continue it. And each of the comics is like an episode of the show.
Yeah.
And it even references it. But you don't have to know any of that whatsoever. It's just a random experience that you can go in, enjoy, because it's written like a really disturbed kids cartoon. And it's great.
Oh, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's a Netflix original. Netflix paid for this to be made.
Ooh.
Yeah. We should probably watch it in the Vomitorium. I've already seen it 5 times. I'd watch it again.
Interesting. Is it safe for children?
Yeah, like children can watch it. Children watched Invader Zim. It aired on Nickelodeon. And it's the exact same type of content that aired in the show. They didn't make it more adult or anything for Netflix.
There it is. It's on Netflix.
You know they will not be adding Drake from the Drake and Josh into this game after what just happened recently.
Yeah. Even though he got off with just a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Apparently. They should add Drake and Joshua.
Yeah.
Joshua Hughes.
or if they're going to add anybody, they should add Dan Schneider as an assistant.
Yeah. There you go. Dan Schneider. Yep. He does have a thing for feet, apparently. Like, not even ironic. Not even ironically. Apparently, he does have a thing for feet.
Some people do. Some people do. No, dude, the problem with Invader Zim is Invader Zim became like the hot topic concept, right? So there's a lot of people who could not even tell you much about the show itself. Like maybe they saw an episode that became obsessed with the imagery of it. Like everybody loved Gur. Gur's a very likable character. Everybody should love him. But you go to Hot Topic and the clothes are everywhere. And there's a bunch of just people ruining Zim for everyone for like a good decade after the show stopped. But it's great. I think people should go back. Even people who never watched the show but were into like the Hot Topic apparel should go back and actually watch it. They probably like it. They just didn't watch it back then.
Yeah. Well, all right. I guess we'll have to watch that movie at some point.
Gaz was the best character. Gaz is the best character, especially in that movie. They give Gaz so much more screen time to flesh out her character in Enter the Florpus, and it's great because she was like the most underutilized character in that show, and has one of the best episodes is a Gaz solo episode where her there's like the new Game Boy or whatever, and she is the last person in line. Like the line gets cut off right before she gets hers. They ran out of the new little game slave or whatever the heck it was called. And she was hunting this guy down. Almost like haunting him. And it was great. And one of my favorite lines comes to the episode too, because she drags Dib, honestly, Dib is probably the main character of the show aside from... What's it called? Zim. Aside from Zim himself, he's probably the main character. He's a self-insert for Jonan Vasquez. And he's great. She drags him to the mall to go and get the game slave. And he gets lost and wanders into the parking garage. And there's a bunch of rat people in there. And one of my favorite, like, instances happen. And, like, the bunch of rat people, like, you'll be lost in here forever like us. And, like, a lady talks to him. It's like, I was once a man, but you're a woman. And as they're talking, they're like, you'll never leave. It's like, actually, I think I see the exit right over there. And he just, like, wanders off. God, I love that show so much. But yeah, she's just haunting this guy the whole time. And he, like, turns out he doesn't have the batteries or anything. And by the end of the episode, he gives it to her. And, like, order has been restored. Her hair immediately dries up and goes back to perfect form. The sky clears and everything just because she finally has her game slave too.
Yeah. Timothy Olsen likes Billy and Mandy, apparently.
Billy and Mandy's pretty good. I like Billy and Mandy. In some ways, it had a lot of the same type of humor. Billy and Mandy kind of evolved out of the scene that Courage the Cowardly Dog left. You know, different network that's over on Cartoon Network. But Courage the Cowardly Dog kind of set up the scene to where you can have horror and comedy kind of mixed together. So Billy and Mandy comes onto the scene, and they do some similar things, but almost in the reverse. It's more comedic, but they're using a lot of, like, otherwise horror-themed stuff for their comedy. And it's just really absurd. So it's more like Invader Zim in that way. Very, very absurdist humor.
Mm-hmm. They have a movie, too.
Yep.
Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure.
Where they're trying to beat... Well, Grim, like, loses his job as the Grim Reaper. And they're trying to beat the Boogeyman to this, like, Infinity Gauntlet-looking Hand of Fear. Whatever. And, like, this whole adventure through the underworld. It's pretty good. With Fred Burger, who is a character that is infamous to people who know Billy and Mandy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He kind of talks like this. Yes?
Is that Horvitz guy?
Style. Yeah, Horvitz voices Billy, who is one of the main characters in Billy and Mandy.
I'm too old. I don't know these shows.
Billy and Mandy ran for a long time too. Like, let's see. It's probably, I don't know, maybe as you were leaving college or whatever. I'm trying to think of the timeline. This was like, it started early 2000s, right? Mm-hmm. So then, and then it continued for like a decade almost.
I was too busy having a career.
Yeah.
Although I watched a lot of Fairly Odd Parents somehow. I don't know.
It aired at a lot of the same time as like the early Fairly Odd Parents, but on a different network, right? It was Cartoon Network instead of Nickelodeon.
Well, I'm guessing I guess I probably didn't get into Fairly Odd Parents until later on. Because like you said, it was on for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I probably got into it later.
They had like 18 seasons.
Yeah. Marsupial screams internally. But I watched a lot of iCarly and Victorious, so, you know.
I mean, they're not that bad, but I mean, they're not Billy and Mandy. A way better show.
Oh, come on. I love iCarly.
Way better show. Okay, dude, Billy and Mandy, we're going to go a little extra because I have to talk about this show.
Oh, boy.
Billy and Mandy had some of the greatest bits any cartoon show has ever had that it just is not respected because a lot of people did see it, but a lot of people don't remember it, or they might have caught like one episode every other month or something like that. But they had like this character. One of my favorite characters is Hoss Delgado. And the thing about this show is this show just had a plethora of characters that you'd probably even see again because of how long it went. Like, this show was just made by its characters. And Hoss Delgado was basically Ash, right? Ashley Williams, like from Evil Dead. It's Ash. But if Ash was like this really ripped Arnold Schwarzenegger type guy doing the same thing, and he's hunting down evil. That is what he does. And he's got a chainsaw for a hand, but it's changeable, so he can like unscrew it off and put different things in there, like Captain Hook or whatever. And he's played by Diedrich Bader, so he talks like this all the time. Hoss Delgado. And he was just such a wild character. And at one point, another recurring character is Eris, the Greek goddess of chaos, with her apples of discord. And these two start dating because Hoss Delgado's like chasing her because she's like an evil entity from his position. And they get into a relationship, and it is just the dumbest shit, but it's great. He's like, why are these two people in a relationship? It makes no sense. She even turns into like a T-Rex and eats him at one point in time. But this is just how their relationship goes. He runs her over with his like Hummer.
This is what show is this?
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. The whole premise is, right, because a lot of these shows, they used to have this thing called Cartoon Friday. And on Cartoon Friday, they would kind of show like a short. And their short is like somebody's pilot attempt for a show to try to sell it. And if it got a lot of views, they would greenlight the show. And there were two shows that got greenlit at the same time, so they turned it into one show. And it was Hector Con Carne and the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. So they put them together as Grim and Evil. But eventually people just stopped caring about the Hector Con Carne part, and it became its own show. They just dropped the other thing. And the Cartoon Friday short for the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Billy was hanging out with his friend Mandy. Why these two are friends, it makes no sense, but that's a lot of friendships when you're kids. Like, you kind of like your neighbors, or you know each other, so you end up becoming friends, even though your personalities don't mesh whatsoever. And they were over to celebrate the like 16th birthday of their hamster, which hamsters don't live for 16 years old. This is like this old, decrepit thing. And he like is gonna die, so the Grim Reaper shows up to collect this hamster, and they don't want him to take the hamster, so they challenge him to a game, and so they play his game of choice in Limbo, which also makes sense why the Grim Reaper has a Jamaican accent if you go back and watch the original thing, because he was in Limbo, so we play Limbo, man. And he was about to like kick their ass in Limbo because he's a magical skeleton that can go lower than anybody else can go, until she says this thing that was set up at the beginning where if she says kiss kiss, the hamster like jumps on the person and starts like going ravaged, and the hamster gets in like his eye and it messes him up and he knocks the stick over, and now he's basically stuck in a contract where he has to be their slave forever. They're their best friend, but that's basically their slave forever. And that's the start of the show, is he has to go on adventures with these two assholes because they won him in a game. And just every episode is some crazy shit that happens from just that one little setup. It's a great show.
I guess so.
Yep. Yeah, she used it for evil purposes. And number 3 from the Kids Next Door actually became the Grim Reaper for a short time in the movie when he lost his job. And like, why number 3? Well, of all people who could be the menacing Grim Reaper, why the soft, cuddly girl with an obsession with her Care Bear monkey ripoff thing? It was great.
Yeah, I see that. There's like a Grim Adventures of the Kids Next Door.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of crossovers.
Oh, Cartoon Network used to do crossovers all the time.
Yeah.
Just a common thing they did. But yeah.
Cool.
enter the Florpus in the Vomitorium sometime. I don't know. Get in the Discord. You'll get notified for this stuff.
Yeah, maybe this weekend we'll do that.
But that's the show. Thank you all for watching or listening later on. We appreciate your views. The views you give us, we actually don't care what you think. If you enjoy the show, please share it with somebody else who might like it. And if you really enjoy it, consider giving a donation at streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Look into the sins of your past.